Sciatica interrupts your vacation. Hey everybody, this is Mike Erlob and another episode of Power Your Life by Flex PT. Has back pain ever interrupted your vacation? I'll tell you what, is that not the worst? Back pain, sciatica, you name it. I mean, you get ready to go on vacation and this is the time. I know we're in the middle of a global COVID coronavirus pandemic, but people are still going on vacation, and vacation is extremely important. It's important for you to get away from life, get out with your family, and just stay connected with them and do something fun together. But when that's interrupted or cut short by sciatica or back pain, I got to tell you, that is, probably one of the worst things. And for me, that's been one of the worst experiences that I have ever had. And let me tell you a story about a time when that happened to me. You see, this was probably about 4 years ago. And so my family and I, we were going on a trip, and it was a road trip, and we were going to drive from our home in Underwood, Iowa, all the way to Phoenix, Arizona, for my dad's memorial. My dad had just passed away earlier that year. And then we were going to go down to visit my brother and mom and stepdad and sister-in-law and all my nieces down in Tucson, Arizona. So we had it all planned out and everything was fine. And we loaded up the family truckster, except, what we did was our car wasn't quite big enough for everything we needed. So I borrowed my father-in-law's Ford truck. And I'll tell you more about that story. But anyway, we took the truck, had everything loaded up, and we hit the road. And it took us about 3 days. We took kind of a roundabout way, and we drove all the way down to Phoenix. And about on the second day, I started noticing some pain in my left buttock. And I'd had back pain before. I had some issues on my right side, but this was kind of new to me. Anyway, I didn't think too much of it. The next day, we drove a little further, and we finally got there, and it was like fire in my rear end and just radiating down my leg. I mean, it went all the way down into my left ankle, and it was to the point. I mean, it was like this really, really, really deep-seated pain right into the rear end that went down the back of my thigh, down in my hamstring, and all the way down, and then the outside of my toes were kind of tingling a little bit. And I knew right away. It's like, man, I've got sciatica. How'd this happen? This is the worst. And I couldn't get comfortable. I mean, I couldn't sleep. And it didn't seem. I mean, I got in a hot tub at the hotel. I tried stretching it. I tried pulling. I mean, I'm contorting my body in every direction imaginable, just trying to get that stretch, to try and get that to loosen up. I'm talking my wife into, massaging my back and massaging my butt and just trying to do anything and everything to get this, pain to go away. And, it limited everything. I mean, it made the entire trip. We were doing a memorial for my dad, and then, so I got through that and got down to Tucson, and we were trying to be there with, family and just having just try and have a good time. And I couldn't do anything, except sit in the pool. I mean, that was about all I could do because that pain was so bad. And, I managed to go, and I got over to Target, and I got myself one of those foam rollers. And, I started kind of rolling that out because I was trying every stretch I could. Nothing was fixing that problem. And, I was really getting really frustrated because I was missing out on being, engaged in the family vacation. I mean, the kids, well, they want you to go hiking with them, they want you to spend time. It's hard to do that when you're really in a lot of pain and you're in a lot of discomfort, and it really starts to eat at you. Because, and then you start feeling like you're just not being a good parent, a good dad, a good, good husband, good brother, to my family. And, I just started rolling it out, and I did the best I could with that. And that helped a little bit. And I opened up Google and I started looking for a therapist in Tucson. I needed somebody to get some work done into my hip and my lower back. And so I finally found a gal that was able to work on me. And we found all kinds of trigger points and problematic areas that quite honestly I didn't even know I had. And areas in my leg which were so tight and tender that were contributing to it. And once I got that relief, and I'd been in Tucson for a few days now, and I'd actually finally the pain started to subside, and I realized, like, wow, it was just this weight that had been lifted off my chest, and I just felt so much relief. And all of a sudden I was a different person. Before I was really crabby and cranky and irritable, and my back was hurting and my hip and my leg, and I couldn't enjoy the vacation. And now I got a little bit of that relief, and it was like just again a completely different person. And it was amazing how that can happen. And if you've ever experienced that, it's bad enough when it happens to you at home. It's kind of like when you're on a trip and you get sick, and you end up in the emergency room or a doctor's office in a town where you don't know anybody. And it's just, that's just one of the worst things that can happen. So, I managed to get her back home, and once I got back home, I started trying to figure out, like, why did this happen? I've had some issues with back pain before that I've been able to resolve, but why on this trip all of a sudden? And there was a lot of reasons for that. Number one is, of course, your mental stress. Even though you're going on vacation and it's supposed to be a good, relaxing time, it creates a lot of stress to get ready. You have a lot of stress on the road trip, especially if you've ever driven, cross country for long distances. That's stressful. You're getting everything ready at work, you're getting ready everything at home. And so a lot of times that negative stress starts to manifest itself physically in our body. The other thing is, let's face it, I was sitting for 10 to 12 hours a day for like about 3 days in a row. And all of that prolonged sitting, and I was being a little stubborn too, because I got to kind of go off on a tangent. My wife wanted to drive, and I just was like, no, I got this, honey. I was trying to be the man, trying to be the guy that gets us there and drives. When in reality, what I should have done was I should have stepped back and said, yes, honey, I should let you drive so I can switch out my position, move to the other side of the vehicle, and get some pressure off of this. But, sometimes we're our own worst enemies, and we're so very stubborn we don't want to give in to it. But I was sitting in that driver's seat for too long. And what happens is your hip flexors, a little muscle called the psoas, actually it's a big muscle, it's spelled P-S-O-A-S, but that muscle, which comes off of your back, off your lumbar spine, and goes through your stomach and attaches itself to your thigh bone, and that muscle becomes really, really tight and goes into a spasm, like all kinds of things, bad things start to happen. It throws off your entire alignment. It throws off the position of your back, starts tilting your pelvis forward. That throws off how your hips work, which creates more tightness in another muscle that we call the piriformis, which is this deep muscle underneath the buttock, which the sciatic nerve goes either over, under, or right through. And when that muscle goes into a spasm, I tell you, it's like kinking a garden hose. It just sets everything off. There's a backup, and none of the impulses can get through the nerve. So that psoas got tight, my piriformis got tight, all of those things contributed to it. I was sitting too long, it was too stressful. And then the other thing is, let's face it, when you're traveling and you're on vacation, you're not eating right. You're not drinking enough water. You're probably not sleeping well because you're sleeping in other hotel beds or someone else's bed. And then your diet. Your diet is not good. It is more of an inflammatory diet because you're eating fast food, you're eating too many carbs, you're eating, let's face it, you're on vacation. So you're enjoying that. You're drinking alcohol. All of those things add up and creates that, that perfect storm, which can just set everything off. However, there are things that you can do to fix that. And that's what I did for myself. As I realized that this was going on, I did immediately start increasing my water intake. I got that foam roller at Target and started really working that out. That made a big difference. I sought the help of somebody that I knew could understand what was going on with me, to get that hands-on work, to get those muscles and trigger points loosened up. And then when I got back home, I made darn sure that I got myself back on a good alkalizing diet, that I was getting plenty of sleep, that I was hydrating, and then I was really working on deactivating my hip flexors and unlocking my hips and getting my gluteal muscles to be strengthened and active again so they weren't creating that alignment issue. All of those things happened. And, when you do that, then it's amazing when you attack the root cause of the problem, then things dramatically get better and they stay better. And, that's what I was doing, was attacking the root cause. I just didn't depend on, well, I'll just take some ibuprofen or I'll take some naproxen or Aleve, because those don't do anything other than treat the symptom. And that's one of the problems that we have with our medical system today, is that it just treats the symptoms. That so many times the treatments out there focus only on a Band-Aid of treating the symptoms. Somebody comes to me and they say, hey, I have a problem with my knee. Then they expect that you're going to look at their knee. Well, the problem probably isn't in their knee. It's either in their hip or their ankle. But common medicine today says, oh, you have a knee problem. Let's do an X-ray or MRI of your knee, because that must be where the problem is. It isn't always there. It's a lot of times elsewhere. It's your entire system too. You got to have a holistic approach to address these kinds of issues, because in there, that's where the root cause lies. It's the diet. It's the stress management, it's the hydration levels, it's their activity, what they're doing throughout the day. You're sitting too much, and as well as which muscles are now out of balance. And that is the true cause. And that, for me, was the true cause of my back pain that almost ruined that vacation. I mean, it really did. So, you've got to stay persistent. And you've got to keep, if you're suffering from any issues, sciatica or back pain, knee pain, shoulder issues, you've got to stay persistent in finding out what that root cause is, because otherwise you're just going to be in this vicious cycle. And if all you do is alleviate the symptoms, the problem is still there and your problem is going to return again. And then you're just going to be dependent on these, temporary treatments. There is hope for you. And I want to leave you with a quote. And that quote is, energy and persistence conquer all things. And that's from Benjamin Franklin. So if you are having any of those kinds of issues, sciatica, back pain, knee, shoulder issues, or neck problems, I want you to give us a call. I want you to get to the root cause of the problem. You need somebody that can look at the whole person, that holistic approach, because it's your whole system that's interacting, that's creating that problem. So give us a call. Call us at 800-930-8803 and tell one of my front office girls, tell them that you want a breakthrough exam, and they'll get you all set up. And we'll get that taken care of for you. It's only $27, and I'm going to tell you what, we're going to get to what that root cause of your problem is. So until then, I want to let you know we're going to be live next Thursday at 1 p.m. Don't let back pain or sciatica ruin your vacation. I want you guys to go out and enjoy your time, or enjoy this summer. Until next Thursday, stay healthy and keep moving forward.